everybody come stand and you got to choose. See that?
As we get started, I want to welcome all of you on behalf of Doug's family, on behalf of Holly and Sean and everyone else. And before we do anything else, as we begin here, I'm going to invite in a moment Holly to come up. First, I'm going to tell you about this bell that is right here. This is a special bell that Doug purchased with hope to ring it at Holly's wedding, which he did. And now, in just a moment, Holly, are you ready to ring the bell?
Yeah, she's up on the other side of that huge.
Are you ready to ring the bell? Yeah. This is going to kick us off for our evening.
We're watching this here. You want to see enough of hold? You can stand up if you want. Okay.
All right, thank you, Holly. What a beautiful bell. Well, everyone, of course, you know why we're here. We're here to celebrate an amazing man. You may have known him as Doug, as Dougie, as someone said, as Commander, perhaps as something else. Whatever you knew him as, we're here to celebrate, remember the life of this amazing man who touched all of our lives and the lives of so many people, I'm sure more than anyone in this world actually knows. This evening, I'm going to give just a brief overview. We're going to have a little time of sharing out here on the patio, and then after that, some of these doors are going to open. This evening is going to have a lot of music, dancing. Later on, feel free if you need to go grab some takeout dinner and bring it back. There's going to be face painting later on. There's cake and cookies. But the most important part this evening is being here in Fremont, in the center of the universe, at the Nectar Lounge, at one of Doug's favorite places to come to a show, that we celebrate him. And I cannot imagine a different place that Doug would want his life to be celebrated. I want to share just a little bit about Doug and one of my own personal stories about him before I invite Sean to come up for a little bit of sharing. Even if you knew him as Commander, Doug's full name, Charles Douglas Henry, was born July 5th, 1941, to Charles Arthur Henry and to Opal Ethel Stapleton Henry. Here in Seattle, growing up in the great neighborhood of Magnolia, Doug went to Queen Anne High School, and Doug was Seattle through and through. I don't know if there's someone that knew the streets of this city better than Doug. Doug is survived by his sister, Marcia Olson, and her family, by his son, Sean, and by Shannon Henry, by his daughter, Holly, and Zach, and grandsons, Henry, Tommy, and Conrad. And Holly was just sharing with me earlier how, after Linda passed away, it was a really hard time for Doug. But when he became a grandfather, he came alive again in a new way. And now Conrad, Doug's newest grandson, who he didn't quite get to meet, bears Commander as one of his middle names in memory of Doug. The first story, though, that I want to share about Doug is to highlight just this theme of celebration. Doug was a person that knew how to celebrate. A few years back, this is, I guess, maybe 2016, I was getting ready for a big move. I was going to move to the East Coast for graduate school and the last time we were together as an extended family before I was going to move was just kind of a normal family gathering. It was Memorial Day or something. I didn't think it had anything to do with me, but it was Doug and Linda who, out of nowhere, surprised and shocked me by giving me a Bon Voyage cake. I didn't know this was going to happen. I thought, oh, this is amazing. A cake to say Bon Voyage. And then, in classic Doug fashion, he says, well, not only did I give you this cake, but it's from this bakery down in the Central District, and you need to go there, and here's exactly where it is, and I've known the owner for the last 40 years, and I've gone to all these shows with him. And that was Doug, right? He knew how to celebrate, and he knew everyone. He always had a connection for whatever you needed, especially for food and music. But now I want to invite Doug's son, Sean, forward for a little bit of his own share.
Thanks you all for something. I'd like to share with you a way in which my dad profoundly changed my life. So this, we go back to my childhood. Those of you who know me well know this already, but I'll tell you all that my dad and my mom got divorced either when I was in the room or very soon after. My mom became a Jehovah's Witness. My dad did not. My mom was the one who raised me. So I was raised as a Jehovah's Witness, which is, in honesty, a controlling cult. To me, it's normal. My mom was loving, and I was certainly cared for well, but every week, my dad got to hang out with me and visit with me. And most times, I would go over for dinner at his house or something like that. But occasionally, he would take me to live music. I don't even remember the first time he took me to Bumbershoot, but we would go to Bumbershoot every year. Every day of Bumbershoot, we were there. And Dad didn't just go sit down to enjoy live music. We went to where the people were dancing, always. And so that's how I learned from a very young age to enjoy live music. You dance to it. You move however you feel like moving to music. And honestly, when you let a child listen to music and they're grooving to it, you don't have to tell them to dance. It comes natural. So I think it's part of us as human beings, and maybe we layer over that. But it's important to hang on to that. So throughout my childhood and my teenage years, I did a lot of going to meetings at Jehovah's Witness Kingdom Hall and knocking on doors and talking to strangers. But then I would get to hang out with Dad. And what really became those core moments, those highlight moments of my childhood were when I got to go see live music and dance with my dad. Now, fast forward a little bit to my teenage years. When I was 17, we were living in Ohio at the time. And at that point, I figured this was going to be my life. I needed to start setting spiritual goals. And my dad asked my mom, can you come visit for 2 weeks? I'd really, really like to take them to see the Grateful Dead, and they're actually playing in the Northwest, which they haven't done. And I don't know how he talked her into this, but he did talk her into it. So I went to visit him for 2 weeks. And as a Jehovah's Witness, you're taught that anyone that isn't a Jehovah's Witness is part of the world, and the world is full of wicked, evil people who will stab you in the back at a heartbeat, even when they act nice. They have their own selfish motives at heart, and they will walk all over you to get whatever they want. Dad took me to a couple of Grateful Dead shows, one in Tacoma and one in Eugene, and what I saw was strangers helping other people just out of the goodness of their own heart. In fact, I injured my knee and I went down in Eugene, and within 30 seconds, somebody saw me go down and came up with an ice pack for me. They just had one in their cooler, and they saw me go down and said, "Can I help you?" This wasn't someone working for the venue or first aid or anything like that. It was just someone. And this really impressed on me that, wait a minute, maybe there are good, loving people outside of this. And it really started me questioning it. And I left that cult when I turned 18. And ever since then, in my life, a real core value has been going to live music and dancing. Because it gives me joy in a way I cannot describe, in a very deep, primal way. It's like I'm connecting to my childhood. If it had not been for Dad, I would probably still be in that controlling cult. Who knows, doing what? But instead, here I am, and for the past several decades, I have enjoyed life to the full, and I have my dad to thank for that. I'm not sure who to introduce next right now, but I'll hand it back over to you.
Thank you, Sean. Yeah, thank you. I have a couple other stories about Doug that I want to share myself, but I also want to open it, either at this time or after I share a little more. If there is anyone else who would want to share a memory, a tribute, a story about Doug into the microphone, you're welcome to do that. I see a lot of people's faces that are like, microphone? No. And but it will be open if anyone chooses to do that. You can just come and linger over here by this door, and I'll know that you want to share. But throughout the evening, the big encouragement for all of you is please continue to share memories, tributes, stories together with one another. I want to especially ask you for Holly, for Sean, for Marcia, for anyone else in the family, that you would come up to them and share your stories with them. Because there are many parts of Doug that not everyone knows. Some people knew Doug, some people knew Commander. So please share, please ask them for their stories. I know Holly has stories this evening that she'd be happy to share with you as the evening goes on. But I want to share another story just about, I said Doug is a person that had so many connections, right? For the years I lived here in Seattle, anytime I would move to a different neighborhood, I'd tell Doug where I'm living, and he'd always want to know the exact number of the block I was on. Where exactly do you live? What's the intersection? He'd say, okay, so if you go 10 blocks east from there, there's this really good teriyaki place, and I know the guy who owns it, and it was always the same thing with every place, every corner of the city. But I think because of that, Doug was also a person who created connection among the people he knew and the people he met. My freshman year of college, I had a friend who had come to college in Seattle from Michigan, so he wasn't going home for the Thanksgiving holiday. He came along with my family to what he thought was just our kind of real tame, little nice Norwegian family Thanksgiving. And it was great. A friend from rural Michigan. And then he meets Doug. And he says, I thought you said your family were a bunch of like Norwegian Lutherans.
Yeah, except for this guy.
And who's this guy? And but Doug invited him in. By the end of the evening, he had enjoyed peppermint schnapps and chocolate shot glasses. And he knew that he had a place in the family because Doug, in his own unique Doug way, Doug would connect with people in a way that was different from anyone else. I didn't know you could get chocolate shot glasses, but Doug knew. And he brought them and he offered them to my friend and said, hey, you're welcome here. You can be part of this family as well when you're far away from home. Doug is a person of tremendous connection. And so, if there's no one else that wants to volunteer to share into the microphone at this moment, Holly, a little bit?
Yeah. Yay!
Okay. Welcome, Holly.
Hi. I was going to talk, and then I wasn't going to talk, and I'm going to talk. Because when I lost my mom 7 years ago, I couldn't talk. And my dad couldn't talk either. And we were both just really too broken. And somehow, some grand alchemy happened over the next year. 3 months later, I found out I was pregnant, and almost exactly a year later, my son was born. And I don't know when it happened between the day she left and the day Henry arrived. But by the time Henry arrived, my dad wasn't dead again. But he wasn't just my dad. My whole life, we didn't fit in the same room very well together. When I was born, we Holly, Joanna, Lynn, Opal, Henry. And it's because he wanted me to have options. If I ever needed legal aliases. He told me that when I was like 5. It's true though. He wanted me to have lots of legal options, and just if I needed to make myself scarce, I wouldn't have to do a lot of paperwork. It's really nice. But it wasn't always going to be Holly Joanna Lynn. Oh, it was going to be Holly Joanna Lynn. And then 2 months before I came, he lost his mom. And 2 months before this guy came, I lost my dad. This guy is now Conrad Commander Holly Yuzer, named after him. But when he gave me that giant name when I was just a little thing, I thought I looked just like his mom, and he kind of started treating me like I was his mom as soon as I was born. And he said that in the speech he made at my wedding. He said, "The day you were born, you were the stiff image of my mother, and just like her, because when you want something, you get it exactly the way you want it." And that's what's happened here today. My wedding 10 years ago this month, and I think in a calmer way that came out today with his blessing. But in that last 7 years, since my mom went, he and I all of a sudden could fit in the same room, and we never could before. He gave me that big old name, and for some reason we were always in competition to be the star of the show. And I didn't get that when I was a kid. It makes sense to me as an adult why we couldn't coexist very well without butting heads. But seamlessly, it got better. And I wish my mom ever got to see it on this side. But it just really, anything can happen, miracles can happen. And my dad showed me that because I love my dad so much, and I miss him so much, and I just never would have felt this way any other time in my life than I do right now. And I'm just really grateful that he came back alive for me and he did the work to be able to work.
Thank you, Holly. You know, when Doug passed away, it was Valentine's Day, and I just imagine on that day, Doug and Linda dancing together again. And so now I'm going to transition us into the rest of our evening with that theme of dancing, which will come if you are so willing. With the continued invitation, please continue to share stories, memories with people. There are cake and cookies. There is a guest book over there. Please make sure that you sign that and share a note or a tribute in there. I don't think I missed anything else. All of the bands that are playing are going to be many people that knew Doug. Doug knew everyone. 8 p.m. it's going to be 21 plus. Up until 8 p.m. it is all ages. If you need to get takeout dinner, outside food but not outside alcohol is welcome in the space. I think that is also thank you for being here, and let's keep Doug's spirit alive in our celebration of him this evening. Thank you, everyone. And when the doors open up, all alcoholic beverages need to move to the inside, which will be the alcohol section. Out here on the patio will become the all ages section, is what I was just told. If you need clarification on all the details of that, ask the bartender. That's what he told me. Thank you.